Welcome to Mile 20 Podcast, where epic shit happens. I'm Lori, and I'm here on location at Cranberry Lake with my bestie Laura.
Hello, Lori in New York.
Hel- Hello, Laura at home, but soon to be gone, I guess, in Portugal.
Yes, yeah, we leave tonight.
Yeah,
I'm super excited.
as you should be.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a well-deserved vacation. We didn't take a vacation, as you know, like a big one last year because of Maddie's wedding, and so we are very excited to get the hell out of Dodge. So
Yeah, how long are you guys going for? And
uh,
where are you
we
going?
yeah, we're going for 2 weeks, and we're going to Lisbon, where we're also excited to be seeing an Imagine Dragons concert. I'm on the 26th.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, and then we're headed to Lagos, which is on the southern part of the country, like kind of the beach. And then we're going to a town called Evora and Coimbra, the Douro River, and then Porto. So six cities in 2 weeks. So
That sounds amazing.
yeah, it's going to be a blast. And we've started, like, we've made all of our reservations and stuff, like enough where we're not like overscheduled and whatnot. So but that's why I have my chow shirt on, even though, like, the chow shirt that I have on is from Italy, which means hello or goodbye in Italian. Ciao, so Tchau means goodbye in Portuguese. So this is my closest translation to, to Portuguese today. It's like, ciao, we're headed out.
Good for you. That's
Because I
awesome.
couldn't find
I'm
either
so,
of these race shirts that we're going to talk about today, honestly.
yeah, I'm sure. And also, I forgot mine. So I'm sporting a lovely Mile 20 tank top today.
Yes, yeah, we started, for those who can see Lori on video, we started creating swag for ourselves. So little advertising when we're running in our races or doing our training runs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with the note of you being gone next week and it being the 4th of July, I think it's important we let everybody know that we will not be recording or releasing an episode the week of the 4th of July. So, we're
Correct.
taking a much needed little break, but we will be back the following Thursday. And I believe we will be discussing the Grand Rapids, Michigan marathon for that one.
Yeah. And are we gonna get Maggie on the podcast to help talk about that, since that was her first marathon?
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should have Maggie on, but of course, this is always up to Maggie. And
Absolutely.
she's at wait, isn't she at one of the FIFA World Cup games right now?
Yeah, she's at some FIFA game. And her and Connor were sending pictures earlier of them at the game. And I swear it looked like the link was on fire.
Oh my
There
gosh.
was all this smoke and stuff, and it's Morocco and Juventus. Um,
Huh.
yeah, yeah. So I have no idea. I don't keep up with World Cup, but yeah. So but they sent a picture of all this, like, black and red and gray smoke, because I guess that's one of the team's, like, colors. And when they scored a goal, like, it looked like the link was on fire. There was so much smoke. We'll put it in our social media because it was kind of insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. But I've always heard that those World Cup games can get a little intense.
Yeah, yeah, we've been to one or two, like, when they've been in the area. I mean, we're super excited about, like, just the whole World Cup coming here to coming to Philly, or, like, the United States. But yeah, like, some of those games can get, like, pretty rowdy. I remember going to not a World Cup game, but like a Premier League game in Italy one time, and they had
Yeah.
plexiglass that lined the complete, edge of the boards of the stadium, and they were super high plexiglass, panels, because when the fans got pissed off, they started throwing shit onto the field.
Oh,
Kind of
see,
like,
and
wow.
Philadelphia Eagles fans get a bad rap, but
Yeah,
at
no,
least
this
we don't
was
have to have stuff to protect the players?
right. Yeah, no, this was bad, and they still, like, were chucking stuff over the plexiglass, and then they had to take time out of the game to, like, clean up the field. So they actually had people, like, designated on the side of the field to go and clean up all the bottles and just food crap and everything. So yeah, that was my first experience to like an international soccer game.
That's crazy.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So
next week, Grand Rapids.
yeah, well, 2 weeks.
So
2 weeks, Grand
2 weeks from
Rapids.
now. Yes.
So what's your epic week update like there, Laura?
Um, I think the one thing I want to highlight that was really cool. My mom, who is 80, she is one of 9 kids, right? So my grandma and grandpa were crazy. Not in a bad way, but just like 9 kids is a lot, right? And especially like in
It is a
the
lot.
30s and 40s. So my mom is the third of the 9. So her sister, Anne-Marie, is still alive, and Anne-Marie is 83, almost 84, and she's my aunt who is blind. And then I have
Okay.
2 other aunts in their 70s, so my Aunt Barb and my Aunt Mary Ellen, and they all came out to Pennsylvania this weekend, and they arrived on Friday, got to my mom and dad. They had not seen my mom and dad's new 55 and over community house, so they wanted to check that out. And then yesterday morning, they drove down to the villa down in Maryland, and they are spending the weekend down there. So it was really, really nice. You know, they're tooling around. I gave them a bunch of places to go to, and but it was nice seeing them on Friday night. We had a ton of laughs and some good food, and just I don't know. It's just something about seeing family reconnecting. I mean, you know that you have such strong ties with
Yeah.
so many parts of your family, and it's just really, really nice. When we all make effort and reconnect, and you feel like you haven't seen each other since yesterday. So
Right.
yeah,
No,
and Maddie and Matthew came
that's good
over
stuff.
as well, and we did the dog exchange. So now they have Kona for 2 weeks. We had their dog Chopper for like what 3 weeks while they were on their honeymoon a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So now my and I ran with Maddie this morning. We slogged through 14 miles this morning, but I'm really proud of Maddie because I mean talking about
Was that her longest? Like, did
yeah.
she have another long run in
No,
between?
no. I think the longest she did before that was 5 miles. So this is not recommended for anybody, but she had her honeymoon, then she broke her toe, and then she got a concussion. And then she was prepping for a trial. So, because she's a lawyer. So, all of
Yeah.
those things all combined did not make for, a great following of the schedule. So like, hey, do you want to try it with me? And I would have been happy if she even stayed with me for like 8 miles. But we intervaled, and it was hot. It was 83 degrees when we finished.
Ugh, God, that is
Yeah,
so hot to run in. Was it
yeah.
soupy?
It was soupy. It was soupy. Like, and about the last like mile and a half, I stopped sweating. Even though like
Oh, geez.
I was sucking down water like it was nothing. And so we just intervaled. We took it safe. There were a lot of people running and riding and walking on the trail this morning, so it was really busy.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
that's
that's
that's what
cool.
that's what we did over the weekend, and so again, I just love it that my mom and her sisters, are getting together and just spending time with each other, just quality time.
Yeah,
How about you?
that's good.
How about you? Because obviously we know
Um,
you're not sitting next to me in Pennsylvania.
no. So I did a crazy thing on Wednesday. We were supposed to have Ella was supposed to come up here to do the Lake Placid Horse Show for the last week of June and the beginning of July. So we normally rent out our cabin for, most of the summer, probably, I would say. And so we only come up maybe twice over the summer, maybe 2 to 3 weeks if we get lucky. Last year, she did the Lake Placid Horse Show, which was awesome. So they were
I
talking
remember
about
that
doing
because
it again. So
we came up at
yeah,
that one, yeah.
yeah, you did. And so this year, somehow registration for the horse show got screwed up and they got it sold out before we got stalls. So then the barn decided
Oh,
not to come, but we already had this time blocked. So I was like, well, screw it. I'm going anyway. So Ella is still at home riding because she's going to do Princeton this weekend or next weekend. We're recording on a Sunday afternoon. Normally it's Monday, but
right,
today
it's
it's a
Monday,
Sunday
yeah,
afternoon.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, So I'm up here right now. Dave was up here with me. Now I'm by myself for a few days, which will be interesting. A lot of self-reflection, I guess, meditating. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But I came up, I was so stupid. I don't know why it's so hard for me to get out the door to come up here to the cabin, but I think it's because like I've so much shit I have to be accountable for and pack for. So I didn't get out. I spent all day Wednesday packing to get out. I
Oh
went
my
grocery
gosh.
shopping. I left at 8 o'clock in the evening for a 6.5 hour drive up here. And I don't know
You were
why I didn't
crazy
wait till the
when,
morning, but I'm
yeah,
like, I'd rather sleep in.
you were saying that. So the day before, on Tuesday, Lori and I did our 12-mile run, on Tuesday,
Hmm.
because Monday, when we both woke up at like 4 in the morning and we started looking at the weather, it was like, scattered thunder showers were popping up like all over the place, and it looked like higher likelihood
Yeah.
of rain. So we ditched it, and then it didn't rain. And so we said, let's just do it on Tuesday. So we did it on Tuesday. And I remember you saying when we were running, you were like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna bust through it and just go up like tomorrow. I'm like, girl, like what's the rush, And you're like, I just like, just driving through the night, you don't feel like you're killing a day, and but then when you texted me that you've
Yeah.
got in at like freaking 2 o'clock in the morning, I was like, oh my God, like girl, it's like so not safe.
But it was because I was totally not tired.
Yeah.
I had a Red Bull in Binghamton, which is probably not great, but I did it. So I was awake actually because we had woken up that morning at 4:15, 4:30 to run at 5:30. And then I busted ass to get out the door. So I left at 8, rolled in at 2, and I was so high on caffeine from the Red Bull that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start unpacking. And I mean, I unpacked everything. And then it got to be 4 a.m. And I'm like, you know what? It's only 15 more minutes and it'll be a 24-hour day.
Oh
I'm
my
doing
God.
it.
I
I'm
know when you
going to
wrote that,
stay
I
up.
was like,
But you know what? Like when I woke up here and like everything was unpacked, I was completely settled in, and it was
Yeah.
like 10 a.m. I'm like, see, I'm really like, I'm just glad to be here. I didn't have any traffic. I didn't have to worry about anything. I was just
That
here
is
and
the
it was
one
good.
advantage
So,
of leaving at that time of night to go up north to where your cabin is that there really is no traffic at all,
well, I
because
mean, not that traffic is ever really bad. Sometimes it gets a little sticky losing Philly between Philly and
yeah,
the
it's mostly
Poconos,
around
but
Philly, but I
usually
mean,
it's
but I
everywhere
mean, you don't
else.
even hit cars on the road, like, I mean,
No,
you probably, it was very, very thin traffic, going up to
very.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I wasn't having to deal with people in the fast lane or anything. But it's been
Yeah.
cool. So since we've been up here though, um, I had a friend that has a cabin about 2 hours away. And we were friends through our cycling group, and then she moved to Rochester, my friend Kate. And Kate was like, "Hey, they have that place. Her family has a family house in the Adirondacks, but it's 2 hours from us." She's like, "Hey, I'm going to be up there while you're up there." I'm like, "That's cool. Let's get together." So we actually made plans and met at the Buck Island trailhead to hike to a fire tower.
Oh, that's
So we
outstanding.
did, yeah. So me, Dave, and Kate met, hiked, and then we went into Long Lake to the Adirondack Inn and had like a lovely drink and some dinner, and then we parted ways. And then Dave and I yesterday decided to hike to another fire tower, and it turns out that there is a fire tower challenge in the Adirondacks. I don't know how many of them there are, but I think between the Adirondacks and the Catskills, there's almost like 23 or 25 fire towers you can hike
Oh,
to.
wow.
Not
Wow.
not all of them are fully operational, but the two that we went to, we did Mount Arab and Buck Tower were both operational. We could climb to the top and we had
I
some
love it. I mean, the views
fantastic
from the
views.
pictures you sent were absolutely spectacular.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some beautiful days up here in sun, and I felt like the sun was not coming out at all when we were at home before we left. So I've gotten some much needed sun.
Yeah, it's actually very, very cloudy here right now, and there were a little bit of rolls of thunder a little while ago. So I'm a little nervous because Jim went out to fly fish. Our car is picking us up at
Oh,
5 o'clock this afternoon. But he's like, I'm gonna go out and fly fish. And yesterday he kind of went down in the embankment and got an armful of nettles. And so that's
Ooh,
always really great before you go on and fly on like a 6, 7 hour flight.
yeah. Is he
So
still hurting from that?
no, no, he seemed to be okay this morning, but I had made this little concoction for him of baking soda and water because they said that that's supposed to like help to reduce the sting. But we were at a graduation party for one of our neighbors' kids yesterday, and Jim's in their kitchen, and he's just looking at me, and I'm like, "What's the matter?" And he's like, "Babe," he's like, "My arm, it's tingling, it's like on fire, you know." So
Oh, yeah, that
yeah,
hurts.
yeah. I've never hit like gone into nettles. Have you?
I have I've had a few on a hike where I've worn shorts and I've gotten it's almost feels like a little bit of a whip burn.
Yeah,
Like it burns for a while. But DJ just recently, like a couple months ago, called me and he's like, Mom, I'm thinking about going to the ER. Same exact same thing that Jim did. He slipped, he was fishing,
yeah,
slipped into a slope he didn't realize was muddy and went right his arm right into nettles and it
yeah,
like blew up and was
yeah.
painful for
Jim
him.
had like massive welts on his arm when it first happened. So
Yeah.
then I got the urgent phone call yesterday. Babe, like, are you home? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can you get a bunch of tape? Just get tape. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, just get tape. And then I didn't realize that he had texted me that he had fallen into the nettle. So I'm like waiting in like the driveway with like tape going, okay, what the hell, right? Because I had just
Right.
text. And so then he wanted me to wrap it around his hand so he could like just kind of tack his arm and see if we can get the nettles out. But yeah, it was
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, hopefully he won't have that happen today before we go onto the plane. So these are never good things.
yeah. Well, prayers for that for sure. Oh,
Absolutely, absolutely.
speaking of prayers, should we give a special little shout out to Julie
Yes, yes, most definitely.
without getting in? Yeah, without getting into any details about her health because it's not our place to talk about it. But our friend Julie, who joined us for the Baltimore Marathon, it was
Yeah,
Baltimore, right?
yeah,
Um, Unfortunately, had a little bit of a serious health condition arise, and so we just want to send our love out to her because we really so happy that she's doing well and we pray that she continues to do so. We love Julie.
absolutely.
Love you, Julie.
We love Julie. We love Julie. Love you, Julie. Mm,
Yeah, so if anybody's listening, please send some prayers out to Julie too.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate
shall we get
it.
into it?
Yeah, what are you drinking today?
Oh God. I don't even
Oh,
know. I don't even know how this is
oh.
gonna go.
Oh. There's nothing like hearing a podcast and like you're talking about what you're gonna drink and you're like doing like the throw up noise already.
Yeah, right.
There's a reason. There's a
um
reason for this.
So my mile 20 beverage is crafted after and inspired by, oh God, help us. When we ran the Mill Race Marathon in September 28th of 2019, we had gone into a Kroger and we're looking for beverages and we were looking at a start time temperature in the 70s with a potential high of 90 by the
Yes.
time we finished the mill race. So we knew it was going to be hot. And we were thinking about something refreshing that would be nice. And for some reason, we found canned mimosas.
And we're like, oh,
Ugh.
wow, like imagine like the orange juice and like the little sparkling, like it'll have some sugar in it that we'll need. And totally justifying like buying these canned mimosas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It sounded like such a great idea until we cracked them open and we tasted them. And I was like, oh, this is so gross.
It was they were so bad. Like even when you like shook them, it was just so bad. It tasted
It was
like
terrible.
aluminum or tin. I don't even think you and I
Yeah.
finished them. We were just like, yeah, we can't finish these. I think we left
Yeah.
them on by a traffic cone because there were no garbage cans in sight, but we left them by a traffic cone
Yep.
knowing that like at least the staff would come by and pick them up and throw them out with other things. So yeah, that was probably the worst drink, one of the worst drinks we had.
I I can't think of one that was worse.
Well,
I really can't.
taste wise,
Yeah, taste wise. Yeah, taste wise for sure. So
yes.
with that, I went up to the general store because I have no mimosa stuff here because I thought maybe I just have a general mimosa in
Oh,
commemoration.
and let's just let everybody know like where Lori and Dave's cabin is in the Adirondacks. It is very remote, so it's
Yeah,
a quite a drive to go to a grocery store, like a mainstream grocery store. So there's this cute little general store that we talked about actually in a previous episode where we talked about our girls' weekend in your
yeah.
cabin, and yeah, so that's where you went over to, right?
Well, actually, I went to the one in Cranberry Lake, not the one
Oh,
in
the one down the
Wanakena.
street. Okay, all right, so there's
Yeah,
two
because it's
general stores.
open. So, but there's no liquor store within a 40 miles. It's 40 minutes for me to get to a liquor store. So I went in to see what they had because otherwise it was going to be old fashioned wine, stateside, something that I already have here. But I found, oh God, I don't even know how this is going to taste. I found a beat box, orange crush, orange blast beat box because I thought orange is as close as I'm gonna get, right, to a mimosa with the orange. Are you drinking an actual mimosa?
Yes, I am, because I'm in
This thing is
Pennsylvania and I have access to alcohol.
11.1%.
What's that?
This thing is 11.1%.
Oh wow. Oh, you have to just shake it up too.
I don't know if I
Cold?
have to shake it.
Is
I
it
just thought I
cold?
should.
It
Yeah, it's
looks
cold.
like a box, like a chicken broth. You sure it's not chicken broth?
I'm quite certain. So, cheers. So, what is your mimosa?
It's just a mimosa.
Oh, La Marca?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a mimosa. It's a heavy pour.
Uh,
It's admittedly
I
has
know
a
it
little
looks
club
very
soda.
light.
It's got a lot of club soda in it too. So my tummy is
Gotcha.
not feeling good post the run. So I put a little bit of everything in there, and so I'm like I'm partaking, but not heavily. So
No, well, cheers, my friend.
cheers, my
Here's to
friend.
finding out how good this is. Ugh. Yep, as expected. Very
Yeah,
orangey
yeah.
and
Maybe
warm.
like oh, and warm.
Well, not warm, but like warm going down.
Oh, got it. Okay, okay. What's the
But it
ingredients in
probably,
warm? What's in it?
jeez. Hold on, let me get my spectacles.
Gotta get my glasses on.
I can't read this. Malt beverage with natural flavors, artificial sweetener, and certified color. So real specific as to what is in this.
Oh my God. It's called chemical in a box.
Yeah, it's
With a little bit
chemicals
of
in a
natural in
box.
there to make you feel good about yourself.
But it is the world's tastiest party punch. So congratulations, guys.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. And we are not sponsoring them. Or we are not sponsored by them.
We're not sponsored by anybody. Actually, it's really not bad. It's very sweet and tastes very orangey. So
Okay,
cheers,
that's
my
cool.
friend.
Cheers. Cheers, cheers. You do look like you're
All
drinking,
right.
you do look like you're drinking chicken broth though, out of a box.
Ooh,
All
it's
right.
great.
It's great. Mm. Hair in your
Mm.
chest.
Anyway, so shall we get into so I think
Indiana.
we're gonna let's talk about Indiana. So in 2016, we were signed up for the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon,
Yes.
and you hurt your back
Yeah,
and
completely
were
threw my back
unable
out
to
that year. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you wound up doing the half, I did the full, but then we had to go back with the 50 states because you had to get Indiana. So then I went
Yes.
back and you had picked the mill race to run. So we actually ran two separate races in Indiana. So I'd say what do you think about starting about the one we ran together first, the mill
Yeah.
race?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So we did that. It was hot as shit.
Oh my
This is a
God.
core memory I have.
It was, that is the one thing that I remember about that race, that it was it was excruciatingly hot and there wasn't a lot of shade on that
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
No. Now, I
It
did
was
do
flat.
some research today. The course is very, very different. Um, Similar kind of in the beginning part of the race, but where like to me, one of the highlights of the mill race was really cool that there towards the latter half of the marathon, we actually got to run through a very small, the little small Columbus airport.
Yes,
And I feel like there were like little airplanes out for
there
us to look
were.
at and tank. I feel like there was a tank out there for some
Yeah, I think
reason
there was a
too.
National Guard, there was a National Guard unit that was out there. So there was you know, some tanks and some, I don't know, some trucks and what have you. Yeah, no, I that
Yeah,
was a
well,
highlight for me as well, running around the air, running actually onto the tarmac of the airport
yeah,
where they had us run. Yeah. So again, this was in what, 2019?
yeah. And I was like, man, this is such a unique experience. Like it's a smaller race. Let's see, when we ran it, there was 196 finishers. In 2024, there was 180. So they look like they run around 200 people. So it's a very small, quaint, small town race.
Yeah, very small town race, which I loved. I loved about it.
Yeah, I did too. It's I found that to be one of the highlights. They no longer go there.
Yeah.
They now they've skipped that part and they loop you back down towards downtown, back up and then out, skipping the airport, which I think is kind of a shame, but I'm sure it's better for spectators kind of in the downtown area as far as catching runners that are out there on the course.
Yeah, no doubt. And while running through the tarmac on the airport was cool, that was a long out and back. It was like kind of
Yeah.
like a loop that we did, and you know, oh my gosh, it like everything was really flat, and I just remember there being no because there's no shade opportunity at an airport, and so
No.
you know, so while it was neat being at the airport, it was you know like you know how you and I run like so when Lori and I run in a race where it's 100% sun and you know we're just not getting any reprieve from the heat we like seek the shade spots on a road. So if, you know, normally when you're running, you'll run on the right-hand side of the road, but if the shade's on the left-hand side, her ass and my ass are on the other side of the road, like finding that shade, you know. So I
Yeah.
just remember that there wasn't a lot of like even like shade movement opportunities, you know, for us as well in that race. I think we both got had a little bit of sunburns, you know, coming off of that, despite, you know, also going and having some sunblock on ourselves.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that there was also just true to Indiana, like a lot of very open land and cornfields. Matter of fact, I
Right.
believe our mile 20 beverage drop, we actually hid our bag in the corn.
We did, and it was actually really funny because after we had planted it, and I know we had planted it like by a cross street, but then I got a little worried because I was like, well, wait a minute, did we remember the right road? Because everything looks the same. You know, when you're looking at a cornfield, everything looks the same. And there's corn on one side of the road and corn on the other side of the road, and you're like, you don't have any distinct you know, landmarks, you know, to go by. But we found it, and unfortunately, when we got to our mile 20 beverage, which was our lovely canned mimosas, they were so warm. Like every ounce of
Ugh.
ice, everything that we had put in there, like these things just baked in the sun. So not only did they taste bad, but they probably like fermented because of the heat and being in the
Oh,
can.
so bad. It was so bad.
We had the best intentions though. We had the best intentions.
We did. We did. The thought process was on point. It just didn't work out in the end. So we actually flew from Philly into Indianapolis and then drove to Columbus, which is Indiana, which is where the mill race is located.
Right.
It was about an hour drive. You rented the car, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
particular time, I felt like. And then Did we stay? Was it a residence inn that we stayed at in
Yes,
Columbus? I know that there's a
yes.
residence in a Fairfield and you're a Marriott girl.
Yeah, no, we stayed at the Residence Inn.
We did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I I can I can remember that. I mean, I feel like the property was nice.
Yeah, no, it was totally fine. I mean, I was super happy that, I could actually find a Marriott hotel in or just even like a nice chain hotel, in that area because again, this is a really, really small town, but I would assume there's a bunch of hotels around the town because of like the highways that run through it and probably for, people who are transient and traveling and so forth. But yeah, so we couldn't walk to the race. We had to drive there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember parking in a parking deck. But
Yes,
I felt like the parking deck was super close to the start, so it was
totally,
pretty
totally. Yeah,
easily manageable.
it was like a block away or two. Yeah, yeah, totally right.
Yeah. Now Columbus itself is like adorable. I
Totally.
remember thinking that it is the matter of fact, am I remembering correctly that that may have been one of my favorites, which I did not think about this till now. Didn't they have a really solid singer as the national anthem?
They
I feel like they
totally
had a
did.
really good national anthem for that one.
They had a really, really incredible national anthem singer. And this town was like just the cutest little Midwestern town. And the only caveat that I will throw out there that I didn't like about the town is that everything closed like ridiculously early. And it was kind of a missed opportunity because those of us who came from out of town, depending upon, like where you come from in the country or even internationally, right? I don't know if they had any international runners, but the whole town was closed down by like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And, here you and I
Yeah.
walking around, like we wanted to hit that one ice cream shop. It was like a vintage ice cream shop. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
we missed the time on that and it was closed by the time, we wanted to go and grab some ice cream. So we just, I
I
don't
think
know.
it was like what is the name? Zaharakos?
Yes.
Zaharakos? I
Yes,
think
something like that.
it's
Yep.
an historic ice cream parlor that had been in business since 1900. Like it was
Yes.
had that really cool old ice cream parlor feel, and we were just like salivating at the windows, looking in while it was closed.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's all
please
we could do was look in
open.
the windows because we were taking off like early the next day, to go
Yeah,
home. So it wasn't like, oh, well, we can catch it tomorrow, tomorrow when they open. So that's the one thing, that just, if you do the mill race, just know that it is a small, family friendly town. And they close things, a lot of restaurants and places very, very, very early. So just plan accordingly.
yeah. Now we did hit some really great places to
We
eat
did.
and have beverages. Yeah. I remember let's see. I think well, first of all, I think they actually had for considering how tiny the race is. I mean, they do also have a 5K, a half marathon, and a full. So you get the gamut of what's available, like nice selection of races. If there's more than one person going and they don't want to run a marathon, there's other
Yes.
things available. They had a nice little expo. I mean, it wasn't crazy, but it was at this place called the Commons, which I remember had like a really big something in it. I don't remember. It was like some big piece of art or something in a big glass two-story. I don't know. I'm just remembering. It was a place called the Commons. It was a really cool little facility. I remember thinking when I was there, it's just, I don't know. It's a really cute town.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely adorable. And we did hit some really fantastic places to eat and drink. So one of the dinners we ate at was 450 North Brewing. And
Yes.
that had really good pizza, which was surprising, because like you have a lot of choices when you do races in big cities. And when you go to a small place like this, you as a runner, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever food like eateries, are available. But we were both pleasantly surprised with the options that we had.
Yeah, yeah, I loved 450 Brewing. They had some really great sour beers. I'm not totally a sour beer person, and I remember thinking they were telling me, no, 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 like our sours are really good. And I agree wholeheartedly. Their sours were very good there, and it's not normally my go-to thing.
Yeah,
And their
you very
pizzas were
seldom.
good. It
Yeah.
it was outside of the city, so you did need a car to get there, but I think it was what well worth the trip there. And I think there was also a winery associated with it, but I'm not sure it was open at the time we were there.
Yeah, there was a winery, but we did not hit that. But I remember when you were having the sours because my daughter Maddie loves the like sour beers, and I just remember like wow, she would absolutely dig this place because of them touting hey like no you're gonna like this even if you don't like a sour you're gonna like this. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it was really good. I think we had a lunch at the Columbus Bar, and that place reminded me of like a quintessential like small town neighborhood bar. I think I can remember us sitting at the bar having drinks, but I think we also had lunch there too, and I feel like that was really good.
yes, yeah.
Um,
And then we went to
where
the
else
Children's Museum. Is the Children's
Oh
Museum
yes.
is the Children's Museum where you and I ended up like sitting in like the world's biggest toilet?
Yes, we
And I
did.
did say
Yes, we did.
inside of the toilet. I did say inside of it. Inside of
Yes.
you. As I digress.
No, but I found like that children's museum was super cute too. It was kind of fun to tool around in there for a few minutes, and it must have been, I'm guessing it was free because we were just I think we picked up our packets, went over to the Columbus bar, had lunch, and then we were maybe a little tipsy and we're like, let's go to the big see the biggest toilet. I don't
Yes.
even know how we found that.
I have no idea
Or did
either,
it
but we just walked in and we were like, we just want to see the big toilet, and they're like, right there.
I feel like it had a sign like world's largest toilet or something on the outside of the museum. And we're like, yeah, we need to go see this.
Yeah, and if everyone checks us out on our socials, we will actually post a picture of Lori and I sitting in two of us at the same time in the toilet. It is not an actively used toilet. I just want to go and throw that out as a caveat.
Yes, no, it's a fun, you know, prop toilet, I would say.
Yes. But yeah, and then
Now,
oh, and then after the
no,
race,
go ahead.
after the race we did a no shower happy hour, and we ate at the Fourth Street Bar and Grill, and that was good food, But and again,
Yeah.
typical bar food. But it was just nice to kind of like unwind after after a really hot race.
Yes. Yeah. It was very spicy. It was a
Yeah,
spicy meatball. And then
spicy.
I think we had dinner that night at the Columbus Pump House, which was like
Yes,
an old historic building that was
I
down
love
by
that
there
place.
is a river, right? Isn't there a river that goes through Columbus?
Yes,
Or am
yeah,
I
because
thinking of
the river was
Indianapolis?
like right behind the pump house.
Okay. Yeah, and that place, I remember us going ham at that place. Like the food was really good there.
The food was delicious there. I don't remember or recall what I had, but I do recall
I
that that was a tasty dinner.
I remember you, but I don't remember me. I remember you had some kind of salad
Oh, did I?
and it was good. Yes, but I don't recall what I had. Isn't that bad?
Wow. Yeah, I know. It's that's so funny because I don't
It
remember
is.
when you started like getting out of like your burgers after races kicked. So I don't know if you would have had a burger at that point in time or not.
Yeah, I have no idea. And there's no pictures, no picture evidence. I have no idea.
Yeah. This was one of those races that because you had already gotten the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon done and you already had the state done, I felt bad that like I couldn't do that one with you because I was injured. And then, you were a good sport about coming back to Indiana with me to do this one. So this was one of those races that I picked it because it was kind of easy to get in and out of, or easier. And and it was supposed to be like a pretty flat course, and just the timing, in terms of where you and I were in our marathon cycle, it just seemed to like work. So I pitched it out to you, I remember, and I was like, hey, look, if you can join, that'd be awesome. Like, and you were like, yeah, I'm in for it. Just don't tell Dave. And
Yeah, Dave's
just
like,
because
you're running Indiana again? Ugh.
I know, because Dave definitely for you was like, because I mean your kids were younger, so
Yeah.
he definitely had dad duty, when you were gone on the weekends, and so he was like, wow, why are you running to another state, the same state again, So, but Lori
Yeah.
and I, for the
Uh,
most part, I mean, like any like because we had to play catch up on some states. There were definitely states that like you ran doubles of and then I ran doubles of, just so that way, we could support the other person. I think the only one that we didn't double was Georgia, and that was Savannah, Georgia.
yeah, I just couldn't go there with you.
I
I'm
don't blame
like,
you.
peace
I
with
don't
you.
blame you.
Peace be with you, my friend.
And now you're like, good luck. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it
but
wasn't like,
thinking about a second time around, like if we decided to go a second time around, I'm like, fuck, we're gonna have to go back to Indiana though. No matter what, we got to go
I
back
know,
to Indiana for a second time around. I'm like, shit.
I know,
Not that
I know.
I have no problems with Indiana. Indiana's lovely. It was probably not fair of us because there were times where we traveled to small towns and we spent maybe a little bit more time, but we
Yes.
definitely flew in on a Saturday morning and we were gone. Wait, no, no, no. I'm sorry. Friday morning. It was a Saturday race, I believe, and I think we were home on Sunday.
Oh yeah, no, we were in and out of that town. We were
Yeah.
like went right through it. So yeah, so I mean, so it wasn't like this was like, oh my God, we were both dying to do the mill race. But look, if you're looking for a nice small town race, very, very well run, the after party was the freaking bomb for that race.
Yes. I would say the after party is the exclamation point on this particular race because they actually have it figured out how to have a really good festival at the end of the race.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they had grills going with burgers and dogs and chicken. I mean they had a lot of restaurants that were out, and it was all part of your registration. So it wasn't like you had to pay extra for like, certain parts of the food. I believe they had beers and sodas and water, and but then they had the truck raffle.
Yes. But the caveat to the truck raffle is that everybody who runs a race that weekend is entered into it. So your 5K, your half marathons, and your full marathons. But what's lovely about the truck raffle, and when I say truck, this was like a souped up Ford 350 or was it a
Yeah,
Dodge? It was
a
huge.
it was a 350, and the hood of the truck was taller than you.
Yeah, I'm 5'1" and the hood, yeah, I couldn't see over the hood standing next to it. It was a suit. I wanted that truck so bad.
You did, and you were pretty convinced that like they were going to like call your number, and then we were going to drive
Oh
the truck back home. That
yeah.
was your
Yes. Yes,
plan.
we were.
Did you win the truck?
No.
No, no,
No,
no.
but what was cool about it is that they wait to raffle off the truck until everybody is almost off the merit. Like as soon as the marathon cutoff time, whatever that to cutoff time is, I forget. Did they're 6.5 or they
Yeah, six and a
7?
half hours, 6.5 hours. Yeah,
They
six.
okay.
Yeah,
So after the 6.5 hours of the marathon time, they then announce the truck raffle. So what that does is that creates staying power at the festival. There
yeah.
were so many people at that finish line, and it was so festive feeling. Normally, when we finish at the back of the pack, it's like a ghost town with tumbleweeds, and you're like,
Totally
where'd
agree.
everybody go? This,
Totally
mm-mm.
agree.
live music, bands,
And they closed down
food,
basically like
beverages.
the main street of the town, and that's where the whole festival and the finish line was, like at the the on the main street, and which was really cool because then you got to like kind of appreciate, just how much of a community, this place was. I'm thankful that we got to experience it because again, part of our journey in doing the 50 states is, not just about doing all of these like big races. It's also about, how we can go and experience, just people in their community as well. And I feel like that this was definitely one of those genuine races.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I can't remember the shirt. Do you
No,
have the
I
medal?
don't have it. I looked in my running. I have a dresser of all like running gear, and I was like, nope, must have chucked that out. So I went on a purge like a number of years ago where I had shirts that I just wasn't wearing, and I was like, this is silly me just holding on to them. So yeah, so that was one that went wah wah.
Well, do you have it? Because I forgot the medals this week
I
too. I was just
do, I
terrible.
do. The mill race it's a nice size. So the
Let
outside
me
of
lift it up a little bit so I can see it.
the
Oh,
medal
yes.
is a big C for Columbus, and then on the inside,
Oh, yeah.
and it says Mill Race Marathon with Columbus, Indiana, and then it has the main. I would say like it's probably like the like a courthouse building, and then it has the unique bridge. It's like that A-framed bridge that we went over with like the stanchions. And so that
Yeah.
like, takes up, kind of the center of the race. And then it's nice ribbon and stuff. So nice size though. I mean, I was looking admittedly, I couldn't remember what the medal looked like. And so I was looking on my medal rack for the medal because, I don't have them in any order. And I was like, oh wow, I totally forgot that this was like a decent size. So, for a very, very small race, it kind of put other races to shame. So if you're looking for a good medal as well, and maybe
Yes.
an unmemorable shirt, definitely would recommend, the mill race for you. So knowing that you did two marathons in Indiana and you did Indianapolis, a couple of years, was it 3 years prior? How was your experience
Mhm.
between doing the mill race and then doing Indianapolis? Because I know you and I only ran like the first 7 miles together, right, in Indianapolis. And,
Yeah.
and then you were on your own. And I remember like when we did the split and I was like, I want to keep running with you.
Don't
And I
leave
was feeling
me.
like good that day, but I knew like I shouldn't push it, And yeah, so you went on
Yeah.
your way. So how was the difference between the two?
So I would say it depends on like what you're looking for, right? In Indiana, because I definitely feel like they were yin and the yang.
Yes.
So your big, I'm sure that there's another big one maybe somewhere else in Indiana, but really like the marathon, the big one in Indiana is the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon. And that tends to be what at the beginning of the month. I mean, sorry, the beginning of November. So it was like
Yes.
November 5th of 2016 that I ran it. Um, I mean, that's just all things bigger marathon. But when I say bigger, it's not like New York City big. I think it touts itself as being like the top 15 largest in the top 15 largest in the country. And I'm like, does that mean it's 15? That's what it says on its website. So I wasn't quite sure because I'm like Philly's huge, Marine Corps huge, and I
Yeah,
mean like
huge. Yeah,
tens of
huge.
thousands of people.
Yes.
Yeah, not like thousands of people. So like when I ran it in 2016, there was 4,172 finishers. It has gotten bigger. In 2024, it was like 5,600 finishers roughly. Um, so it is big. It's much bigger than the mill race at a couple hundred,
Oh, most
200.
definitely.
Yeah, so like you have like the bigger expo. It is easier in and out because you fly into Indianapolis and you don't have to drive another 50 minutes. It's right
Yes.
there,
Yes,
as
that
you
was very
know.
convenient.
Um, highly recommend. Laura made us the reservations for that one too, even though we stayed separately. I think me, Dave, DJ, and Ella drove in. I think you guys flew in.
We did. We flew in,
Um,
and yeah, and you guys drove in, but we stayed at the JW Marriott, which was
yeah.
super convenient, and we were able to walk right to the start.
Well, it was like a block and a half, two
Yes,
blocks from the start
yes,
and the finish. Or maybe it
yes,
was like 3 blocks to the start and like a block and a half from the finish.
yes. In fact, I finished the half. I went upstairs and took a shower, and I came back down, and I was already showered by the time you were coming in to finish the full. And like it was one
Yeah.
of those things where like this just doesn't feel right, you know. But because like it was
No.
just yeah, I just felt kind of nasty, and I just remember. Do you remember when you came in on the at the finish, how much salt was on your body, and that you could like scrape off
Oh, it was
salt, and
disgusting.
it was crazy. So I had experienced something similar, not as much as you because of having run the full, but I just felt so gross. And I had said to Jim, I'm like, hey, you wouldn't mind if I like just grabbed the room key and just hopped upstairs and, took a shower. So I just remember like,
Yeah. Well,
good.
it was like one of those weird days where at the start it was like 37 degrees. So it was a really chilly start.
Yes, it was.
But then it got up to like 60 in the afternoon. So it's like, how do you dress for that except for layers? But you
Yeah,
wind up being somewhere you're kind of overdressed. So I
absolutely.
definitely felt like it was very hot, even though it was 60 degrees, which would be perfect because I wound up having to dress for the 37 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. What I really loved about that race was that towards the end, Ella ran it in with you. And she was like, I mean,
Yes.
it was what, 2016, so almost 10 years ago, and she's what,
Oh,
18 now. So yeah, so I mean, she was a little baby, like, mini Ella.
she was.
And
Well, she actually ran the 5K. I think her and Dave ran the 5K beforehand too. She ran that one. So it was cute. She was in her running era. I'm hoping she comes back to her running era because she is registered for the Marine Corps Marathon with us and she needs to start running. So, Ella, if you're
yeah,
listening,
I
strap
know.
on your shoes.
Yeah, I know. Talking about Marine Corps, when I talked to Maddie today, because Maddie was supposed to run Marine Corps with us, so she's running the dock and was supposed to run Marine Corps. And one of her really good friends is getting married like the night before the Marine Corps, and it is in like by Williamsport, up in New York. And
Yeah.
there's no way. Is that New York? No, is Williamsport New York?
No, that's
Is it still
no
PA?
Williamsport's
Oh,
PA,
it's still
but it's
PA.
like way
It's on
north
the way to New York.
central.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's getting married out in Williamsport. And I said to Maddie, I'm like, look, man, your friends, you only get one opportunity to go to their wedding. Or I was like, or her first wedding, like hopefully this will be her
Hopefully.
only wedding. But I said, look, Marine Corps will always be there. And Maddie was torn because it's we're commemorating our 10 years of running with each other. And well, actually, this will be what, 11 years, right? 11 years?
Yeah.
11 years. But it's the 10th.
No, that's a oh no, that's our 10th anniversary. Like we met in 2014, but we
But we
ran our
ran
first
Marine
Marine
Corps in
Corps
15, in 15. That's
in
right.
15.
So
I'm sorry that we're gonna miss Maddie at Marine Corps, but I totally understand her. She needs to be with her friend at a wedding. That's a way
absolutely.
bigger deal. Way
Absolutely,
bigger deal.
absolutely. I was like, don't feel bad about that. So she let everybody else know today. So yeah, we'll miss her, but I think she's making the right decision.
I agree with that
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah. So earlier, Lori, we were talking about the medal for the mill race and the shirt, but what was the cool thing that they handed out at the Indianapolis race that I got as well because I ran the half marathon?
Oh, I love it. They hand out a beanie,
Right.
a nice little winter beanie, which I could have used that morning, but I refused to wear race gear before I run the race.
Yeah, we absolutely love that. I think that was one of the first races where where except for us buying them ourselves at an expo, right? Because we had bought some hats, at Boston. But this was kind of cool, just getting a beanie. I was like, well, this is like very, very different than other races. So, and I still have it. I wear it quite a
Yes.
bit. It's a nice blue and white hat, which I thought was interesting because, the Indianapolis Colts are blue and white. So I don't know if that's like the city's colors or, I don't know if there
Hmm.
was a
Could
significance to
be.
it. I can't remember who the sponsor was. Who was the sponsor for that one?
CNO Financial Services, and they are still the sponsor to
Okay.
today as well,
All
or
right. So I
coming
just
up in
wonder if that
2025.
if that has any significance with like their company colors. I don't know. Anyway, the beanies are blue and white, and I totally love the beanie and wear it throughout the winter time still. And it washed really well.
They're
So
probably the organizers are probably secretly like, ha 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 ha. All these people are leaving here wearing Indianapolis Colts colors.
right. Yeah, that's probably it. So when you think about the Indianapolis Marathon, would you do that one again?
I would probably do either again. I think it was hard for me personally running the big race and then running the smaller race and then
Yeah,
trying to compare the two at the time.
yeah,
But I feel like now that we've completed our journey, like I have a different appreciation for small races. So I appreciate the mill race, but I also love the big races too. So I would probably do either again for
yeah.
Indiana.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And again, I like these weren't races where you and I were extremely hyped up for them. And I mean, when we ran Boston, good gosh, girl, like you and I talked about that race for like months and months and months beforehand. So these were not races that we got ridiculously excited about, but they were nice races and we felt safe in the towns and the people were extremely nice and very accommodating to the runner tourists. And we had a nice time, did not spend too much extra time, in these two races, but we enjoyed them, and so yeah, I mean it's an easy weekend, right? Like an in and out kind of weekend. So I would totally go and recommend these and run them again.
100%. I agree with that. I think like for us and our family too, as far as Indianapolis goes, we'd been there before. DJ had swim meets there before. Um,
Yeah, you go there
you
quite a bit
know,
when he was swimming.
yeah, so we would do swim meets there, and Dave's family, like his dad is actually was born and raised in that area. So there was a sense of like not needing to deep dive because it wasn't as novel of a space to go to and to visit as going to some other areas too.
That's
So
totally
if that
understandable.
comes across as like we weren't giving any of that justice, I can't remember hardly any of the places we ate when we were in Indianapolis because it was in 2016, 9 years ago, and I have no records for any of that.
And we really
But
didn't take pictures and to kind of memorialize the events and so forth.
no, it was not as well documented in 2016 as it was, say,
No,
in 2019.
no, definitely was not.
Yeah, so I just don't want anybody to feel like we're slighting
No,
Indiana. It just
no.
was different because it wasn't our first time in Indiana. So it just kind of had a different vibe to it.
Yeah, and I think where we both were in life, just in general, with between the kids and working and just life, we also couldn't go and justify spending a 4-day weekend in some of these locations. We just couldn't do it to every place. So
Yeah, that's so
I
true.
am sad but super excited that we're taking a week off, just because I know you're having family come up and you get to enjoy them. And I will be sipping some Porto wine thinking of you. But we will be back in
I
2 weeks.
expect to see loads. I expect to see a shit ton of pictures. Okay.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I was proud of myself. I did my packing cubes. I know you had suggested the packing cubes, and I got these packing cubes that also condensed my clothing. it was absolutely fabulous. I filled up like, my suitcase opens up, from like on two sides. And I only filled up one side with clothing. And I'm like, what am I going to do with the whole other side of my suitcase?
Okay, you need to send the link to your cubes that you got because I want to see them. And Maggie's gonna have to post them to our
They are
socials.
absolutely fabulous. They're not ones where it totally takes the air out of them, but you zip a main zipper and then there's like a condensing zipper that goes around the side of it. Absolutely fantastic. So I did iron my clothes before I put them in the cubes. So we'll see how well they fare,
I
after
can't imagine they're gonna fare well.
yeah, probably
Godspeed to you.
Probably not, but I at least made an attempt at, some ironing and steaming, before the trip. But when we're back in 2 weeks, we are talking the Grand Rapids Marathon, which was a cool marathon and was a cool little town to go and tool around. And so we're super excited about talking about Michigan with you all.
Yes.
And so we are super happy that everybody joined us today. Again, check us out on our socials. You'll get a chance to see Lorri in her cabin in her element, up in New York in the Adirondacks. And we want to thank you for hanging with us today. Now go make mile 20 your bitch.
Peace out.